4th of July weekend has a lot of people feeling proud to be an American. A woman held hostage in her home saved herself and her 3 kids. Without a doubt, the biggest race in North Carolina this election. That's a great joke for Hump Day.
Ding.
Boom. These 2 shark attacks, and of course the one earlier last week. Yeah, that tornado tonight really putting into perspective how lucky we've been. Fantastic. I second absolutely everything that Mr. Daniel said. And then these families kind of feel like in limbo even more so. I promised this. This is the side ponytail. They say the fox tried to attack them and they were forced to shoot it. There we go.
It's not as easy as it seems.
I'm wearing heels, so I win. And making bond. There's a lot that goes into the price of freedom before your court date. It's a special report that is only on 3. Thanks for joining us tonight for your news at 11. I'm Makenzi Henderson.
And I'm Daniel Siemens. From 2,000 all the way up to $1 million.
Yes, that is the recommended range New Hanover County judges and prosecutors follow when setting bonds. But it's not really that cut and dry in a courtroom. Tonight, we look into how bond works, or is supposed to work. It's a WWAY investigation, Making Bond, the Price of Freedom, and it's only on 3.
The person suspected to be the shooter was already awaiting trial for a different murder in New Hanover County.
A murder of a witness in a murder trial.
The victim was set to testify in that trial.
That's not supposed to happen, right?
The story starts in late July 2012.
But it did, in the Cape Fear.
They say he was shot execution style.
So, how did the suspect get to the witness?
Everybody kicked it themselves and so quiet.
Nasheed Porter was awaiting trial for Brian Grant's 2012 murder in New Hanover County when he was put on pretrial release last year under a $10,000 unsecured bond and electronic monitoring.
Fast forward to now.
On November 12, 2014, Duplin County deputies say Porter shot and killed a key witness in that trial, Obadiah Hester.
Authorities found Porter's monitoring device 8 miles from the shooting.
So many questions about how this happened. Whether electronic monitoring is effective is a matter for another day.
It can be for a limited number of cases.
What we are talking about now, what went into setting bond for Porter and all the other people arrested for crimes in the Cape Fear.
There's a whole host of factors that go into looking at setting a bond.
District Attorney Ben David and former Judge Tom Old, who's now an assistant DA, say those factors include someone's record, the charged offense, and flight risk.
The facts of a case can wildly vary.
Judges have to balance all of those things. They'll listen to what the defendant says if they have anything to say, or their lawyer.
That's why they both say there is also intuition involved in asking for and setting certain bonds.
It's a process. It's not science, and it's an art, I guess.
What Old and David say they try to do is protect the public and be fair to the defendant, all while keeping jail population and costs down.
When I was a judge, they say, why aren't these people in jail for longer? What they don't understand is that the cheapest part of that process is to build the jail, even though they cost millions of dollars. The operation of the jail is what's expensive.
About $80 each day for each inmate, according to New Hanover County Sheriff spokesman Jerry Brewer. He adds that while the jail's capacity is 673 inmates, it really can't hold that many because they must separate based on offense, mental health, and gender.
What we're trying to do is use a scarce resource efficiently. That scarce resource is the New Hanover County Jail.
Involved in that case.
Wilmington bondsman Larry Powell was president of the North Carolina Bail Agents Association, and he says he knows how to use that scarce resource more efficiently.
Put them under a secure bond.
So what is the difference between a secured and unsecured bond? Under an unsecured bond, you don't have to pay anything unless you don't show up to court. Under a secured bond, you have to pay the full amount in cash or pay a bondsman a percentage to get out of jail. And with their money tied to your court appearance, Powell says bondsmen also mean a higher percentage of suspects showing up.
If we write a bond, you know how many people that percentage-wise that we make sure that's in court? 99%. 99. Law enforcement is like 70% because they have so much more to do. They have county boundaries.
Bondsmen do not have boundaries, though.
We've been to Texas, we've been to New Orleans, we've been to Alabama, Tennessee, and brought people back to miss court.
So he thinks if judges handed down only secured bonds, not only would fewer defendants miss court, but fewer would have to stay in jail.
We understand the street. We understand the people on the street. And people, you would be surprised when somebody goes to jail, how many of these family members will pull together to get this person out of jail.
Because in the end, David, Old, and Powell say bonds are not supposed to be used as punishment.
It's inappropriate and wrong for bonds to be used in a punitive measure.
That's one reason Nasheed Porter's bond was set at 10 grand. David says his office can learn from cases like that.
If they're out of custody and they commit another offense, that's something that we feel very strongly about, and we want to make sure that those bonds are higher.
Higher bonds that Powell says he hopes come with a new law soon, one that requires all bondsmen to charge at least 5%.
We can enforce it. The judge put a $100,000 bond on you for a reason, because he wants you to stay there. So to me, you should not be able to get released unless you pay at least 5%.
He says possibly making the price of freedom seem more fair. And when a defendant released on bail fails to appear for their court date, the forfeited bail and bond money goes to the public school system. And I'm Makenzi Henderson, live in Oak Island. If you are just joining us, we have been covering 2 shark attacks that happened yesterday all day. We were in Oak Island yesterday at 7, and we were in Oak Island again this morning at 4 in the morning to bring you more details on these 2 shark attacks. One happening just before 5 at the pier yesterday, another happening just a couple of hours and a couple of miles away. Now, we're not getting much information about the victims, although new at 5:30, we are learning that at least one of the shark attack victims is now in stable condition tonight. Now, these 2 shark attacks, and of course the one earlier last week, creating a lot of not hysteria, but people are pretty traumatized by this news. So how often do shark attacks happen? Experts say they are extremely rare, but we still wanted to talk with experts about that. Also about the response to the shark attacks, whether it was a good response, could it have been better? WWAY weekend anchor Chris Brown has those answers tonight in the big story at 5:30. And I'm having a lot of fun. Look it, I told you, I promised this. This is the side ponytail. Why am I all 80'd out with like preppy stuff? Because the Breakfast Club is going on at the Downtown Sundown Concert Series in downtown Wilmington at 8. It's a fan favorite. They play all of the great 80s songs. Remember the 80s when MTV actually played video games? Excuse me, not video games, music videos. Thank you very much. So it is going to benefit Pretty in Pink, which is a fantastic organization that helps both men and women with breast cancer. Do come down, buy a wristband, have some beer, have some wine, have some fun. I'm definitely having fun. And don't you forget about me and Downtown Sundown. Back to you, Daniel. Okay, well, we're going to see what Hunter Ingram with the Star News thinks about all the nominations and snubs, because he's our local film buff. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's first talk about some of these snubs. Everyone is disappointed about Jennifer Aniston.
Yes.
Why? I think it's encouraging, though. We're seeing a lot more roles for women that are really dynamic, which I think is something that Hollywood has been missing. So let's talk a little bit about these. There are only 8 Best Picture nominations this year.
Yes.
There could be 10. You think that this is because it was a subpar year for film. Why is that? Thank you so much, Hunter. I'm excited for the Academy Awards. I'm sure you are too.
Very excited.
And you can watch the Academy Awards right here. There's only one place you can find them, and it's right here on WWAY. The 87th Academy Awards are live February 22nd. Coverage gets started on the red carpet at 7 p.m., followed by the ceremony hosted by Neil Patrick Harris. And it's all wrapped up, of course, with WWAY News Channel 3 at 11. Back to you, Daniel.
Have you ever been walking in downtown Wilmington and noticed the flashy and fancy decor and clothes in one of the windows of one of the shops?
Yeah, that used to be a lot more common, especially during the holidays, for all the shops to do that. I stopped by that one shop a few times this fall, and I show you how the owner catches your eye and brings you back. It's a story that's only on 3. Inside this store,
The more over the top, the better.
behind these windows,
You want something that's going to draw people in.
Some instant gratification.
day and night. They investigate.
Let's see.
Just check and see.
They delegate.
I'll start in this corner.
And we might change her wig out.
They contemplate.
I don't know. We'll try them all.
Some of the lights are still good.
They coordinate.
I need to grab my, oh, there it is.
I try to grab as many things as I can.
And then Michael Caldwell and Amanda Moore-Ladd decorate.
Seems like no sooner do I finish one window than it's time to change another window.
That change at a second time around in Wilmington comes with time.
Anywhere between 12 and 18 hours, depending on the window.
That depends on the season.
This particular window is the seasonal window.
And the event.
This window is what we call the swing window.
Right now, 'tis the season for winter.
We're getting ready to put up our winter wonderland.
And for Christmas parties.
It's going to become the crazy Christmas sweater.
Lights, curtains, and ornaments.
Then it's a matter of layering.
Hats, wigs, and sweaters.
And it's like you can't be too crazy.
It's become bigger and more over the top throughout the years.
Store owner Meredith McCacken oversees each window and each transformation.
I get to do the fun part. I get to go by the decorations and look for things. And then Michael and Amanda, get into the windows and make the magic happen.
Magic that happens with a little frustration.
It's a lot of up and down the ladder.
And a lot of laughter.
How about that? That'll do it, won't it?
It really does.
We want to use these windows to their fullest advantage because they are the draw.
Drawing shoppers into the resale shop to buy their merchandise.
We just love fabulous vintage, and it's always so fun when you find something.
But maybe the real find is that long history.
And they're also reminiscent of how downtown Wilmington used to be.
That warm memory.
They would go all out with their holiday windows, and especially Christmas was over the top.
That childlike wonder.
That movie, A Christmas Story, with Ralphie, they're all pressed up against the window.
Christmas, like it used to be.
It's like, coming back home again.